Hi, Michelle.
Yes.
Hi, this is Michelle Kidd. I'm a resident of Country Park. Is the meeting going on right now?
The meeting actually starts at 6:30.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I confused everyone. I had the Zoom link. It shows a 6 o'clock because I needed to block the time. So, and I knew I'd be in a little early. So the meeting doesn't officially start till 6:30. But
so I'm the only silly person that's on this right now.
Nope, you're not. We
good.
have some other people, and I know I've had a few requests for the link and pointing out that I've confused everyone. So I apologize.
No, that's okay. Is it so? I'm on my phone and I could see you for a minute, and then it said something about tapping the button to be able to speak. How does this work? Do we all get to hear each other?
Yep. Everybody will be able to hear, and everyone can talk. So we'll kind of have to make sure that we're all being considerate and muting when needed. I don't think I have everyone muted, so I think we should be good, as long as we just take turns doing it. I don't know how many people are expected, so we'll kind of have to see
Sure
how it goes.
Okay, well, sounds good.
It should be fun.
Thank you for
technology
hosting.
Always is. You're welcome.
Oh, I love it. I deal with it every day for my job.
It's always a new adventure.
Absolutely.
Peter, I saw a hand raised. Were you touching the buttons, or do you have a question? I've got Peter's Galaxy tab. Okay.
Hey, Michelle, are you
Yes.
working on the attendance, or do you need us to do it here?
I am working on the attendance, and I think Most people have it set up with their names, so I can grab most of the people.
Okay, good.
But for sure, we have a quorum, so that's really all we're concerned about.
Yes,
Suzanne.
yes. Hey, Michelle, have you gotten any additional proxies since you signed on?
I have 2 proxies. One original proxy, and I was sent another. But it's from someone who's in attendance, so.
Oh, good.
Let you sit right there and I'm gonna sit.
No, I'm gonna sit in that chair.
No, sit it down on the sink.
Hi, can you hear me? It's Melinda.
I can hear you.
Can you see me?
Not yet.
Okay, let me figure that out.
There's a little thing that looks like a movie camera icon. If you click on that, you'll probably be seen.
No. No. Here, you can see her. That didn't work, but I'm gonna keep trying.
Yep. I'm sure Scott can help you out.
Yeah, he's,
There you are.
you see me now?
Yes, we do.
But now I see you. You're like an inch long. I need to get you back up.
I'll fix it.
Oh, Scott's gonna fix it for me.
What's up, Joey?
I got the video. I just need it where I can actually see it.
Job household is represented.
Yeah, we're here. Let's see what she's got going on here. Well, exit.
I think we push
exit
that
the
arrow.
menu.
There we go.
There we go. We got it back on the big screen. And
Hi,
then,
Michelle.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you.
Hello, it's nice
Hi,
to meet
thank you
you.
for helping us.
It is my pleasure.
what are we trying to do
That's it.
of that?
Mhm.
Is that all we're trying to?
Yeah, just to get it enlarged.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I was just noticing on this paper, it says 6 o'clock. I thought it was 6:30.
It is 6:30.
Okay.
Yep. Michelle you can elaborate on that, setting up the Zoom and,
Oh,
Yes, I had to block the time in our Zoom
Oh, okay.
software. And so I blocked 6 to 8 and confused everybody. So I apologize for that.
Well, I hope, I'm thinking, I hope some people didn't tune in at 6 and then just sort of gave up is what I mean, has somebody been on since 6 to,
I came on about 6:10.
okay. Yeah.
So I do think we got everyone.
What's
Good.
that?
I hope we didn't miss anyone, but I think we got them.
Will you make sure I shut the bedroom door, baby? Thank you.
Well, this helps us old people participate, so I thank you. Yeah, about this time, I'm like sort of John. So this makes it easy.
This has made it easy, and it's made it so we can still be in touch and still kind of meet face to face, if you will, which is nice.
Yeah. Suzanne, you mentioned that Brooke was sick. Is she okay?
oh yeah,
She
she
doesn't have
just,
the virus, does she?
no, she's just a little raspy, and she also had a dentist appointment today that we wanted to make sure she got to, so she's all good.
Just wanted to ask.
Thank you for asking.
Sharon, it's Michelle across the street. I had a little chuckle. I was looking at the participant list and I was sort of anticipating seeing your name pop up as Bird Dog Lady.
Well, at least you said bird dog. It's usually dog ladies.
I think we see your internet pop up on ours.
Yeah, I know. We have several too, but you know, that's appropriate. So
I just thought it was a little funny.
Yeah, and we got Spartan next to you, or Melinda and Spartan.
Oh, I see J Dog.
Oh, hey. Looking like we're gonna have a decent crowd. That's awesome.
Yep. Just got a couple more minutes. I want to make sure that anyone who's having issues signing on gets a chance to sign on.
You need
How are
that
we-
notebook?
Hmm?
You need notebook?
Michelle, will I need to take notes since this is gonna be recorded? Should I still take notes?
That's up to you. You can take notes. I would recommend taking notes, and then I will send you the recording in case
Okay.
you missed anything or need to kind of go back and get anything.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I need to get him to sit down. There's Tatum.
Thank you.
All righty. I see on my computer we have 6:30. Michelle, how are you doing on attendance? Are we good? Is there anyone that's a name you can attach to a property or anything like that?
No, I think we're good. I show 15 in attendance, including myself. So we definitely have quorum, and I have been able to pin everybody down. I
Okay,
believe.
well, good
Oh,
deal.
we've got one more
I
coming in.
think I only see 12 on my screen. Let me try to see when.
You'll
Yeah,
probably only be able to see 12 and have to scroll, or somebody will show up if,
Okay, gotcha.
oh, and just got another.
Okay. All right, we got
Well done. The video's off.
Well,
There it says Nancy Carey.
7, 10. Okay, well, it looks like we've got 18. Is that what you see, Michelle?
We do 18, including me, so 17 homes represented.
All right, well, that's terrific. We've got a quorum, so yay.
Yay.
And it's been an easy get for a while. I just want to open up by thanking, first of all, Michelle Grimm at Lambeth Management for hosting tonight. She's got all of the technology, and we're really grateful for you hosting, coming out of, after hours to do this, and for what you do every day and every month for us, because you've just been really an indispensable asset to us. So thank you for being here.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. It's nice to get to meet everyone, I guess. And so everyone can finally put a face to my name as well, because I'm sure you've seen me in emails and possibly in phone calls. So hello, everyone.
Yes.
Hi.
All right, and I'd like to thank everybody else for joining tonight. One thing that COVID has taught us in the last almost 2 years now is that we need to be flexible, and this Zoom, we've all pretty much learned how to do Zoom from work or school or church or whatever, and that's one thing that COVID has allowed us to do. So thank you for all being here tonight. It's good to see you all. I want to, first of all, announce we did send a notice of the meeting out on October 14th. We're required by the bylaws to send notice of the meeting out at least 10 days in advance. So I'm sure since you're all here that you received a copy of the notice. Along with that was a copy of the minutes from 2019, that was the last set of minutes, and we did have we waived the meeting last year. We voted to postpone it because of COVID. At that point, we were kind of in the thick of it all, and it wasn't going to be a situation where we could all get together, and weren't sure if Zoom was going to be an option for everybody. So we did postpone it. So you do have Melinda, can you text Brenda? She's emailed, or she's calling me right now.
Oh, sure.
Do you mind calling her?
Sure, I will right now.
Okay. Anyway, so we did get the meeting notice. You should have gotten that in the mail, as well as a copy of the minutes from 2019, and then also a copy of the proposed budget for 2022. And the first,
We just started it like 1 minute ago.
just wanted to make sure that we went on record of the meeting announcement. Already welcomed Michelle and thanked her for hosting. The next couple of people I'd like to introduce are Melinda, who has stepped off screen for a second, and Melinda Job, she serves as our secretary. And also, I know Wayne's on here somewhere. I'd like to thank Wayne. He serves as our vice president. So if everybody has gotten a chance to look over the minutes from 2019, do I have anyone that has a motion to approve the minutes from 2019?
Go ahead, Suzanne, I approve.
Who was that? That was Michelle?
Sure, does it have to be a board member to approve?
No, just anyone can approve a motion. So are you motioning to, you're motioning to approve the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, and do I have a second?
You have a second.
Okay, Michelle, approve, and Tatum is seconding. Okay, and the next item that you got in your mailing was the proposed budget. It had some actual expenses from 2019, 2020, projected ones for 2021, and then it has our budget outlined for 2022. Do I have a motion to approve the budget for 2022? Anyone?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have Tatum, motion to approve budget, and Michelle Marovic. What's your last name, Michelle?
These days, Kid.
Kid, okay. All I know is McMorrow is your email address, so Michelle Kidd. Okay, gotcha. All right, and you seconded, okay. That's the first, actually the first couple of items of our agenda. And the next thing that we want to do is do a little bit of a review of 2020 and 2021. And if, Melinda, are you back? Is Melinda back?
No, Melinda is actually not back. She's
Okay.
Still on the phone with Brenda trying to get her on.
Okay, good. Well, the first thing that Melinda was going to address in the year in review was the pond, and we will get back to that. I'll just move on with the update on the trails and the common area. And, we've had, if any of you walk the trail, you know that we've had several weather-related issues on the trail this year. We've had trees down, we've had erosion, and several things that have come into play. And we've been working closely with Tony, who's our lawn maintenance person, to get the trails cleared. When there's been a tree issue, I know there's still one that's outstanding, and we've got that's on the slate for Tony to handle in the next few weeks, and that's down behind Denise's home. There were several trees down, they've gotten off of the trail. However, he's going to go ahead and get rid of the branches because they're kind of a source of they attract animals and other birds and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to have him remove those and take them down to the pavilion area where, as you might have seen, there's a large accumulation of branches and things. And I've got my person, Scott, that I'm looking at right now, and I'm counting on him to help, and probably John Sokol get a little fire going at some point as soon as we get out of the windy hot season. I think we'll have a nice fire down there and try to get rid of some of that so we can clean that out of the area. We do also have several ongoing projects that we've started already. One of them is a rock project where we are taking funds out of our capital reserves because it's more of a long-term fix. It's not a month-to-month maintenance and expense item. And we're trying to replenish the rocks on the trail where there have been erosions and big roots that have been growing and things like that, just to get it more walkable for everybody. And then we also have one more item that is a project that we have on Slate, and that is, if you're familiar with the trail entrances on Lake Walk Drive, there are some smaller timbers that you notice they're, some of them are rotting away, and
Sorry, thanks a lot.
and
Bye-bye.
they're they're just they just need to be replaced. And so Tony is putting together a quote for that. I've gotten one quote already, and we're getting a breakdown of materials and expenses so that we can share it with the board and get that approved. And that's about it for the trails, the pavilion area. Meg, I'm glad to see you on here. Meg is my favorite person when it comes to the pavilion, because she's the one that gets the most use out of it. She's hosting events there with some of her friends, which is good to see. And I'd like to see a whole lot more of that in the coming months. I'm finished with my stuff. Wayne, do you want to go on with the architectural reviews section, and then we'll go back to Melinda?
Sure. Basically, just a quick overview of architectural reviews. Over the last 2 years, we've had 11 projects that were submitted, reviewed, and approved by the board. These included such things as fences, porches, patios, and even a new pool. We're excited to see new things coming to the community. And basically, if you have any questions or about the approval process or the architectural form, that is on the website that we have through Lambeth Now. Very easy to get to. Just quick download, you fill that out. We get it fairly quickly, and we approve it as soon as possible. And if you have any questions about what needs to be approved and what the approval process is, just send us an email, and we can reply back to you on that just as soon as possible.
Okay. All right. Next up, Melinda, do you think you could give us an update on the pond?
Yes, sure, I can. Okay, so we have a maintenance plan in place that we do just about monthly on the ponds. Several years ago, we actually met with a pond management company and were given a maintenance plan, and that's what we work on. So that plan includes applications of aquatic herbicides, and we use what's considered a natural product called Bioverse Aquaspheres. So we do this usually from, I believe it's March through October. We apply monthly, and that is a continued release material that lasts for 30 days, and it releases a nutrient of beneficial bacteria that helps consume the algae. So that's why we have a much better control of algae in the ponds at this time. We also use Aquashade that we pour in to help turn the pond as dark as possible to keep the sunlight out. And we usually apply that numerous times. I think this year we've applied that a total of 6 times that we've done that. We've also got an aerator in place, and we've got all of the tubes working. We have 4 fans in place that distribute the air and the water. We also purchased a weed rake this year, which Suzanne and Scott have been out there and pulling up some lily pads to hopefully try to break up those groups and get rid of them. That's in a nutshell, that's our plan that we've worked on now for, this is year 3 for the
Yeah,
maintenance of the ponds.
May
And
I?
one-
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
just one additional thing, that, after we did the remove, the weed rake to remove some of the lily pads, we've also, put in, something, I think it's called Aquacide, that is supposed to get to the roots of those to, prohibit their growth a little bit. But all of these things that we do, we checked out, and they're safe for the ponds and the fish and everything like that.
I just want to say the lily pads are, they're expanding over the lakes, and that concerns me because they are hard to kill. It's
Mhm.
like they're multiplying, and they're not just in certain areas, they're like little places of them everywhere. Does all of that take care of the whole lake, or how do you utilize that?
Well, one of the things, Scott Job and I got out on the canoe, and we went through and did the weed rake, which removed the actual leaves, and pulled them, pulled the plants up to the surface. And one of the things that we need to do following that is put in the Aquacide, which goes down. It's a pellet, and it goes down to the ground, and it gets to the roots of them. That one, I need Scott's help on the canoe again to do that, especially over by the peninsula on the other side of it. I've gone out with the weed rake one more time, only as much as I could do from the edge of the pond, but I'd like to steal Scott for another trip on the canoe so that we can go out and get those done. But yes, we do realize and recognize that those are sprouting up in different places, and it's hard to figure out if they're cutting them out in the first place is allowing the new growth to start. But I think with our next trip out, we'll go ahead and apply the Aquacide pellets in those areas that we pull up so that we can try to get to the roots of those. All right. Are you good, Sharon?
I'm good, thank you. They
Okay.
bother me because they just grow so rapidly, and I
I
don't
know.
want them taking the lake over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're trying to get ahead of it.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm. All right. All right. That is pretty much the couple of areas in review in 20 and 21 that things that we've accomplished. We're now to the community input section. If anyone has any questions or answers, this is a time that you can have the floor to make those known.
I just wanted to thank the members of the board, Suzanne and Melinda and Wayne. Wayne, really appreciate you stepping up the last 2 years on the board. I know I appreciate having been on the board 3 or 4 years myself. It's a lot of extra time you all put in, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for putting your time in.
Thank you, Michelle.
I second that. I appreciate all of you for volunteering for this.
And I know Suzanne and Scott's not even on the board, but you all go out and spend your own personal time and your weekends out on the lake and just helping to do things, landscaping and all types of things. So thanks again for that. Tree removal, everything, you name it.
Yeah. Well, we both have the doer trade, and I really thank Scott because he, doesn't really need to go out there and do it, and he does, which I really appreciate. So, all righty. If anyone, if nobody else has any questions or additional input, we can move on to the nomination of board members. That's the next section. And, for those of you who are new to the group, I just wanted to, mention a few things about the duties of board members. We are, volunteers, and we are put on the board, we're voted on the board to help manage the finances, to adopt rules and regulations. We manage the common areas, and we do also, take in requests and complaints and discuss them and do what we can to enforce the governing documents of the association. Couple of things that make up good board members are ones that are team players and want to use discussion rather than contentious confrontation. We like to have people that are willing to, step up, give their voice, and, work for the greater good of our community, because that's what we're here for, is for this community. We like them to be diplomatic and understanding, and we also recognize as a board that not every single rule and covenant and guideline is not going to make everybody happy, but we realize that we as a board have to do what we can to make the greater good happy. So that's kind of in a nutshell what board members are all about. Melinda, I think you had a few things that you wanted to share about potential board members.
Right, I did. We would love to have some of our younger families with children in the neighborhood to join the board, because we do have potential to do a lot more than we do. In the past, we've done things such as fishing tournaments and cookouts, community cleanups, just getting together to visit and say hello. Of course, we haven't done this in a while, but if we had some of our younger families join the board, I think that would be a good opportunity for them to get to know the community and for us to get to know them and to let their voices be heard, how and what we do as a community. So I want to say thank you in advance to any family that steps up and agrees to, help out the board.
Yeah. And we just finished Halloween, and every time I think about Halloween, I think, wouldn't it be fun to do a haunted trail down, down behind the pavilion, and then do some sort of cookout or a bonfire or something like that for the kids? Because I think it would be a great opportunity for us to, have the kids will just have straight up fun, and we can get a chance to communicate and socialize with each other. So we'd love to have, new board members. To that end, now's the time of the meeting that we would like to take nominations for new board members. Does anyone have any board members that they would like to nominate?
I'd like. Stepping us back.
I'll go first. I'd like to nominate my next door neighbor, Peter. He's new with the community. And I think he'll be a great addition to the board.
Peter O. Peter, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Can you pronounce it for us? Are you on? Peter? Okay.
Am I not being heard?
Wayne, could we get Peter's last name?
I think it's O-E-H-L. Is that right, Peter? Does that sound right?
He's on here. I can see him on here. It's not unmuting for him.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so do we have a second for the nomination of Peter?
I second.
What
It's not a position, it's just as a board member, and as a board, we will decide on.
I think Pave was trying to
after
speak.
this. Is that right?
Yeah, who is Pave? P-A-V-E?
I would like to speak to Pave. Pave's not being heard.
I couldn't hear him, but I heard him come on, but then it was like it stopped and it drowned him out. But who is P-A-V-E?
Pave is Paul Van Etten, for those who are not.
Paul, okay, Paul.
Can I be heard now?
Can you, Paul, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you, Paul.
I noticed the board glossed over the recent bylaws changes. I thought perhaps they'd take a moment to explain those to the community and the rationale for those bylaw changes.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start on that. We had 2 rules that were added to the bylaws this year. There was a tragic incident that happened back in January, and it involved me personally. But it actually happened on common area. It happened on the trail, and it was, I'm sure most of you have heard about it. It was the attack and death of my dog, and it was very devastating. But as a board, we decided unanimously that we would add a rule, which is at our liberty to do, that we wanted to make it safe in the common area. And to that end, we made a rule that prohibited dangerous and vicious dogs from being on the common area. So that's the first one. And then the second one, we have, spent a couple of years putting together a plan for the pond, the maintenance. There were a couple of years before I actually moved to the community where there was, a lot of algae from what I hear and things like that. And so we actually consulted with the pond maintenance contractor and got a plan in place. And so we just want to make sure that the board has, is instrumental in performing all of the tasks involved in keeping the pond in good shape like it's been. So.
I have a question about that incident that involved your personal with the dogs. Is there a leash law that's on the books for this, for our trails?
There's a leash law in Rockingham County.
Okay. Well, I constantly see people violating the leash laws on our trails. Is there something we can do about that? Well,
if you would like, we could address it as a board. Once the new board gets voted in, we can address the leash law on the community.
Okay.
Certainly.
So in your personal experience that happened with your dogs, was your dog on the leash?
My dog was under my control. I actually had an electric collar on her and a remote. So she was under my control when it happened.
I don't believe
So
electric collars are recognized by the county.
Okay, well, she was under my control.
I'm not sure why these questions even pertain to what we're talking about.
Well, they made a covenant ordering about vicious dogs, and we don't know anything about the incident. I would like to know more about the incident.
Okay, well, Paul, do you want to explain what happened?
Sure. I've articulated that in multiple written statements that I passed out to the community, but essentially my dog got out of my control and attacked and killed your dog that was not in your control. Neither dog was in
my control.
Well, we've seen you several times with your dogs off the leash, and you were allowing your dogs to basically fence fight with my dogs. And you were on the cell phone the whole time and not controlling your dogs at that time. And so we see this incident as more of a personal issue, that you created a covenant based on your personal bias.
Okay. I'd like to speak to that. So this is Michelle Kidd, and I walk the trail with my husband. And I at times feel that there is an unsafe situation. I've been very nervous since hearing about this incident because it's a habitual issue with this particular dog. I have nothing against Paul personally. I have nothing against anyone personally. It's not a personal issue. My concern is if there's a dog that has attacked not only a dog and killed it, but another dog, Suzanne's other dog was attacked, and it has also attacked a person. And that person had to go to the hospital and have stitches and had issues. then that dog should be deemed a dangerous dog. I have no problem. I love dogs. And I would never want to see a dog put down. I would never want that or wish that on anyone. But if there is a dog that's deemed potentially dangerous, and in this case, this particular dog has attacked a person and could have, the person had to go to the hospital and has
What was the
killed
situation where that dog was
another
attacked?
dog.
Can you explain to me that? You saying that there's a dog that was attacked a person. What was the situation behind that?
Well, that would,
Let
I guess Paul
let
would
me
have to
speak to that,
explain.
please, since it's my dog. That instance that occurred, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. It was under my wife's control. And I believe it was Mr. Akers.
Or not control.
Thank you. Mr. Akers, if you ask him, if you go and ask him about the incidents, he takes the fault for it because he reached into Oreo's space. And, you know, we made
That
good on his-
doesn't matter. That does not matter. It's the fact that your dog attacked him,
Well-
whether he reached to touch her or
I
not.
was asked to explain the incident, so I'm explaining it.
Well, I'm just telling you
reached
that
into her
has
space
nothing
and she
to
was defending
do
the-
with anything. Nothing. Your dog is at fault, period.
Why was this dog at fault if both dogs were off the leash?
Well, it pursued Zoe. It hunted her down like prey.
But Zoe was not on a leash and not under
What
control other
difference
than.
does that
Are
make?
you hearing what
difference
Sharon
does
is
that make?
saying? Her
When you walk
dog,
your dog, Sharon, is your dog under a leash?
No, sir, but my dog is trained for voice command, just like yours are. And I've
So a
seen
voice
you
command
running,
is under
I've
control.
seen you running with your dogs not on a leash. My dog is trained to.
When
voice-
was the last time you saw that happen? Because
Well, does that
I have
matter?
not been on the trail without my
Does
dog
that
in probably
matter?
10
When?
years.
It doesn't matter. You did.
But you walk your dog all the time without a leash.
And your point
and-
is? my
Well,
dog is
there's
voice-
a
And
matter
incidentally,
of-
Daniel, if you know, you started out by stating that my dog was quote unquote fence fighting. I actually did not even know that fence fighting was a thing until I got your homeowner complaint to the board. And I will state that when I heard your wife yell out at me to get my dogs away from her, I promise you that not once has that ever happened since then, okay? I understood your wife said that it was because I was on the phone and I just waved. Well, yes, there's no law or rule against talking on the phone while you're on the trail, but I did restrain my dog, and I not once ever walked it past your house without a leash on.
What
after
is the
that.
point? What is the point with all this? I don't understand.
Well, you create a
You're trying to
covenant
crank up
on a
some
vicious
kind of an
dog
argument.
based on a personal bias, and we like to address that issue.
No,
What's the
no,
bias?
no,
What is
there
the
is
personal
not a
bias?
personal bias. There are multiple people in the community not on the board that have the same feeling as the board, that this is a vicious dog that has attacked both people and dogs on more than one occasion, more than 3 occasions. So I think
About
that
5,
that
I think at least.
I think that that deems the dog in a position where it's a vicious dog, and the board has the ability to do what's right for the community and place a bylaw to protect this community and the people in it. And I think that I would back them up 100% for doing what they did to protect the people and the children and the other pets within this community. So this is not a personal attack. I think that we are all good people, and the board and the ordinance exists to protect the beauty and the integrity of our community, and we just have to respect the ordinance and the laws within them.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I mean, who created these laws?
Well,
Hey
when you
guys, Scott
bought proper-
Job
go ahead,
here.
Scott.
I want You know, I think there's two different issues, and obviously there's a lot of emotion around why a bylaw was created. I think the board acted in fiduciary responsibility and created a bylaw. The discussion period is really, I mean, it's good discussion, but I don't think we're getting anywhere because there's a personal attack here going both ways, and that's not productive. I think the board acted in good faith. The fact that Suzanne, as a board member, was also a party to this incident is really, I don't think, germane. I think that from the board standpoint, the board received, you know, the issue at hand. The board took appropriate action. The board acted in what they felt was their responsibility to the community. A bylaw was created. We know why it was, so I don't think hashing out personal issues on this call is appropriate.
Well,
but-
I contend against that because she posted on a social media platform about the incident without anybody having any input on it. And
Yeah.
she posted a very vicious and disparaging attack against Paul Van Etten, and she did not even give the circumstances behind it. So why was she going on a Facebook page and posting that information in such a derogatory manner?
Yeah, well, Daniel, I can't respond to that because I don't, you know,
Well,
I haven't
but you're
monitored
responding to it now.
However,
so
Let us talk.
was it under the country, our board association name, or was it under a personal?
It was
account?
on this Facebook social media country park thing. She said, Paul Van Etten's dog killed my dog. He's a vicious animal. And she did not allow me to respond.
And
Yeah.
she spoke
And I
the
think that's
truth.
I think that's inappropriate for a board member to do that and then all of a sudden create bylaws that conform with what she wanted.
I think those are two different
What's inappropriate about a
issues.
board member alluding to something that happened in this neighborhood with a dangerous animal? What's inappropriate about that? To try to protect this neighborhood?
Nothing.
Do you know the incident that
I
happened
can't
on
even
that?
go to the pond with my grandchildren without fear and have to carry a pistol with me. Now, you want to justify that?
As far as I'm concerned.
As
You're
I
trying to drag
pointed
this
out
thing
in
out
my
to
multiple
justify what
written
was done to
statements,
that man's dangerous dog.
if I could have a
But where are
moment,
you going with this?
my point is, the public safety officials for Rockingham County have told me repeatedly that as long as my dog is attired with a muzzle, I can take him anywhere I wish in the county. The board, the HOA board, has decided to try to ban me from the walking trail, which is within their right to do. But again, my position is, how are they a better authority than the public safety officials, Captain Smith and Mr. Parker, that work for Rockingham County itself? That's my point. They were okay with how I walk the dog going forward. How has the HOA set itself as something different?
Well, it is the board's right to try to protect community members from dogs such as yours, Paul.
Okay, we can disagree
That's
on this
what makes
point.
it
That's
okay,
part of why we're
because we
here.
do have the right to make those decisions.
Yeah, nobody's saying you don't have the right. We just believe it was done without good faith.
Well, it wasn't.
Yeah, we do, you know, as a board member, we have a duty to protect our community. We maintain it and also protect it. And, you know, it is a safety issue, and we had every right and were actually advised by attorneys that this was something that could be done to prevent any future occurrences on our common area.
Well, sure, you can do it. That doesn't make it right.
Well,
Well, what you do doesn't make
We
it right.
disagree on this point. I think we ought to move on.
Well, real quick, I have a question because this is Daniel Barnett. Now, this is about 2 or 3 weeks after the incident with Suzanne and her dog. You were standing at the back of my yard taunting my dogs while you were on the trail. You were, I don't know if you want to call it training your dog, but my dogs are inside an invisible fence, and you stood out there for at least, I don't know, at least 10 minutes with your dog on the trail, in the section of the trail that goes to my backyard. And as soon as I walked outside, you took off the other way. So while you're having these issues when you're on the trail, to me, that's a whole nother problem, is that you are literally taunting my dogs.
You'll have to help me. I don't know where you are on the trail, but I do.
I'm at
use
Lake Walk
those-
Drive. I have the 2 Labradoodles in the invisible fence. I'm over by, I don't know, I'm on Lake Walk Drive on the right-hand
I
side.
can't remember that specific, but I know if I find a spot where the dogs are interacting inappropriately, I use that as a training opportunity for my dog. I try to put him in a sit stay and get him to relax. I do have a new dog, and that's what I've been working on with him since I got him last year. So that, again, I'm not trying to taunt anyone. I'm trying to train him. And then
So,
again, this is another dog.
so in your mind, just curious. I mean, invisible fences, do have their issues. Luckily, I haven't really had any of those. But if you sit out and taunt my dogs for 10 minutes with your dog sitting there, and they were to happen to get out of there and something was to happen, that would be my fault, correct?
I think we disagree on the characterization here. I'm not trying to taunt anyone. I'm trying to train my dog to ignore distractions such as your dog. Again, I have my dog on a leash. There should be no concern there.
You think Daniel's dogs think that you're trying to train yours? That's the point. It's not you, Paul. It's those dogs and how they're reacting.
Whose dogs are we talking about? Again,
right now we're talking about my dogs, because I watched you sit outside in the back, and you want to call it training, and that's fine, but my dogs don't understand that. If you want to train your dogs if you want to train your dogs for something like that, there's training classes, and there's ways to do that other than interacting with other people's dogs and basically, riling them up for no reason.
So I agree, Daniel, that Paul may have been acting in the best interest of his dog, but Paul, you definitely did not consider Daniel's dogs when they were getting upset as you're sitting there with your dog for 10 minutes. So that doesn't seem quite right to me either.
And you know what? The upshot of the whole thing is that, my personal incident was not the only incident. And, Rockingham County has taken your situation into consideration, and they have declared your dog to be a dangerous and vicious dog, and they've notified you as such. And because it's a dangerous and vicious dog, we think it's in the best interest of the community to not allow it or any other dangerous and vicious dog on the common areas, to protect the community.
Amen.
So, all right, I think we've probably beat this one to death. So if,
Unintended, no doubt.
excuse me?
Pun intended, no doubt.
There was no pun intended.
So if you don't have anything positive to say at this point, just mute yourself, please, so we can move on.
Okay.
Well, I'll bring up another point. The meeting minutes for the 2019 indicated we had a $30,000 reserve. When I last talked to Michelle, she indicated we had 43,000. What's the discrepancy?
There is no discrepancy. You look at the last year's financials and this year's financials, and it all adds up. We've all gone over the numbers.
Michelle, can you want to take a minute to speak to that, since you handle the financials for our association?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a little confused about the idea of 43,000 in reserves. There are currently 2 accounts that the HOA has. One is a reserve account that the HOA is just starting to build up, and that account is kind of a savings account, and those funds are earmarked for large project items, big trail repairs, big pond repairs, large landscaping issues. That's what those funds would be used for. The operating account is kind of the checking account, and that fund is used for regular monthly expenses, the regular landscaping, any regular pond maintenance that occurs, electricity, stuff like that. The total balance of both accounts combined is per the financials that were sent out to you. They were month ending in August. That was 43,000, a little over 43,000, split between the two accounts. So I'm not sure if that helps answer the question.
Well, it confirms the number that you gave me in the email, the traffic that we had, but I'm looking at the minutes from 2019, and it says we have a $30,000 bank account, which is not necessarily accurate. It's really more like 43,000. It may be broken into two different accounts, but 43,000.
Well, if you're talking about what the bank account balance is in 2019 versus what the bank account balance is in 2021, it's going to be different, depending on what's been paid out and what's been received. The figures that I have for year end 2019, which I believe homeowners were also sent, you ended the year of 2019 with total balance in your account of just over 35,000. So your association has gained money. You have more funds now than you did in 2019. And that's a good thing.
Well, and that's been the case ever since I've been associated with the board, which I've kind of always wondered about. I know we have that contingency fund for the cul-de-sac, but and I believe we talked about this in the email as well. There's never been a reserve study done for the HOA. Is that
correct?
That's my recollection, and I believe that's your understanding as well.
Yeah, and we did discuss the potential of doing a reserve study, and the cost is prohibitive of doing that. It's probably $1,400 to $2,000 to do a reserve study. And we didn't feel like it was worthy of spending that expense. I would rather keep that money in our bank account so that we can do some of the capital projects that we have slated for the next coming year.
And yet we're okay with paying Lambeth almost $2,700 a year to now do our books. Right?
Absolutely.
Yes, we are.
Because you can't get anyone to do them within the HOA.
Actually, we chose not to because I think there's a better check and balance and a better accountability going with a management company. And we've got, every third, fourth, or fifth of the month, we get monthly reports with updates on our bank statements, our monthly expenses. And I think it's just been a super asset to our community to have that. Yes, it's an expense, but quality work does cost money.
Well, I will suggest we got by for nearly 10 to 12 years without that expense, but it is what it is at this point.
Okay, well, and you know what? Again, we're our board is volunteers. We are all volunteers. We're not paid to do this for whatever time.
That's right.
You may have put in some time. I've put in a lot of time. People that are not even serving on the board have put in time. So you know what, as a board, that's what we do.
Yeah, I know that full well, Suzanne, and you know why I quit in 2019 also. I see that we're not, there's no provision in the next year's budget for the $50 dues increase to pay for this management company. Is that going to be assessed in 2023, 2022? When is that going to be done?
Michelle?
Well, in working out the budget, you'll see in the budget that was sent out, it includes the covering the management fee and the dues at the current rate of $75 per quarter does keep that in the budget. So there's no
But for
need to
this
raise
year,
the dues.
is it anticipated then that the 2023 budget is going to include that $50 annual assessment?
I can't say that. I would say probably not, but
Again, I'm just reacting to what was provided by the HOA. It said that this year, the $50 was going to be, basically absorbed. We're not going to pass it on. But the inference was that $50 fee per household per year was going to be assessed at a later date. I'm just trying to figure out when that later date is.
that is not what was meant by that. Each year the budget is prepared, and I do prepare a preliminary budget and pass it on to the board members to adjust as needed. And we let the numbers speak to us based on what the average of the expenses have been. And it tells us what the dues should be. And as long as expenses are able to stay under control, for instance, the pond management, no homeowners pay for the time it takes to do the chemicals, to purchase the chemicals. The homeowners are merely paying for the chemicals themselves. So all of that time to do all of that is donated time. So that helps keeps your budget numbers down, but there is not anticipated that homeowners will take an increase because of financial management.
Okay, well, I'll read this from the minutes. The board agreed to not pass along this cost to the homeowners in 2020, the first year, until the management company advised us that it would be necessary based on the state of our finances at the end of 2020. So
Right. And so at the end of 2020, we concluded, based on the budget that she prepared at the end of the year, that there was no need for a dues increase at that time either. So neither year we've had a dues increase. So I don't see where the problem is.
Not yet. Okay.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Michelle, for clarifying.
He's looking for trouble.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm not looking for trouble, but I'm at odds with the direction the current board is going in. And I'm trying to point out there are other ways to go. We were self-run, self-governed, self-managed up until Suzanne Buchanan became president. And since then, membership has dropped in the HOA on the board, and participation has dropped. And we're now hiring an outside company to do what we used to do for ourselves. Yeah. I object to that, and I made my position clear on that and everything I've said and written to the community at large. Whether that has any impact on the community, I don't have any control over. But I'm making my view known.
Sure.
Again.
Hey, Paul, Scott Job again, and I appreciate your comments talking about your previous service. I'll preface this with my previous service on the board as well for probably at least 5 or 6 years. And you're correct. The community did run the board for quite some time. All that service was donated, and I know that you donated your service when you were a board member as well. As you know, as time goes on, things change, and I don't think it's incumbent upon, or we can pin this on any one person. I think it's just evolution of a board. And just as our bank account has grown, we need expertise in managing that. And that's what the board has sought out. Now, the fact that it happened on, the watch of this last board, I say kudos to the board for being, proactive about that, because the board is not just a single member, as you want to point out. A board is multiple members, and so that's not a decision of any one of them. That is a collective decision. I think that there's a lot of energy is needed to do all the things that need to occur on the board. And without new membership and without new board membership, we look for the board looked for, expertise in certain areas. So I don't take anything to that. I think they're doing a fine job the board is. And I think having a management company only builds confidence or instills that confidence that the most crucial point of our HOA, which is the financial component, is being looked at professionally. So I actually am very pleased that we've got a management service agreement with Lambeth Management.
Well said, Scott.
Board, my name's I'd like to speak first. This is Ken Clunan. I live at 160 Forest Lake Trail. And I'd like to bring up one safety concern that my wife and I experienced maybe a month or so ago. And that's a discharge of a firearm while walking on the trail to kill a copperhead. My house backs up to the trail, and we were notified by a neighbor through a text that there was gunfire. And we found out that it was to kill a copperhead. Now, my concern is my house backing up to the trail. If somebody had missed, it hit a rock, ricocheted, hit my house, or hit another person walking on the trail. I find that a serious consequence, and I'd like to know how.
That was probably me, and I'm shooting at the ground. I'm not shooting in the air.
That's fine. I would like to finish my comment, please.
Okay.
Thank you. And again, I find it I find that as a very big safety issue. You're not talking about a pellet gun. You're talking about a live round of ammunition that's fired on the trail. My house is not but a couple 100 feet or less than 100 feet off of the trail. So please take that into consideration when you're talking about dogs and muzzles and so forth. That's very disheartening to understand that somebody's firing a gun, and I could have been in the backyard raking leaves. So again, I just wanted to voice my opinion and my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
So I should just leave the copperheads there then? Is that what we're to do? Because we've always
So
shot.
why don't you use the $43,000 to get somebody out here to catch the snakes? It doesn't require a firearm being shot and somebody's life being in danger. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Oh
No, that's not reasonable to have whatever you're calling a snake catcher to come out, Ken. That's not something that we can do.
I
And if
understand that,
Sharon chooses
but-
to take a firearm,
And it's not reasonable for somebody to discharge a firearm behind my home for safety purposes. Had that bullet ricocheted and killed somebody, you'd have a different voice and a different opinion.
I
So
have
thank
a
you.
concealed to carry, and I have every right to carry that gun and use it to protect myself and my dogs. Thank you.
And I knew you would. My concern is firing a discharge by my home or firing a gun by my home. I just find that very offensive.
Well,
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
well,
Okay,
I would
then-
like to speak when you're done, Ken, I would like to speak.
I'm done.
Okay, I can certainly respect your thoughts on that. And I do feel like that, to me, that is too close for comfort. As I have called the sheriff numerous times on another neighbor on your street that shoots her gun towards the pond, which is directly in my backyard. And I've called numerous times over the years. And unfortunately, the sheriff has told me there's nothing that they could do about it, that it's legal to have a firearm, to shoot it in your own space in the county of Rockingham.
Well,
So
let me also tell
I
you
certainly
that-
can speak to Sharon being a very conscientious person with her gun, as I have been on the trail with her with it in the past. So I can speak to her safety.
Let me also
using her gun.
say to you that I have seen coyotes on the trail. I have been chased by a rabid skunk on the trail. And I have also seen a small bobcat on the trail. So it is not that we're out here walking on this trail without things that are threatening. I've had
And I-
5 dog attacks myself. My dogs have been almost killed by dogs attacking them on this trail. There are a lot of things out there, and if you are offended by guns, I'm sorry, they are
I'm not-
legal. and
Well, Sharon, whose dogs are you talking about on when you said you've been threatened by dogs?
I'm not. Can I
One
finish?
of them was yours. It was Bear that attacked my golden retriever.
My
I-
bear never attacked a golden retriever.
Yes, it did.
You
It
used
got
your
out.
gun on
No.
my lab
It-
one
excuse
time,
me?
and so
I
I'm
did what?
actually getting
Yes,
seriously
because it
concerned
was
about
out
your
and it
use
was
of your
trying
gun
to
on the
attack
trail.
my dog, and it was going to take my arm off, Daniel.
Which dog was this?
It was your brown lab.
My brown lab was going to take your arm off?
Yes, sir, it was.
I don't think so. I think
Oh,
yeah,
I
I'm
do.
actually
You
starting
were
to see a
there.
pattern
I didn't see
of
you
your
there.
use of your gun on the trail, and it's starting to concern me.
May
You
I,
know what?
may I,
Wait,
may
Well,
I
your
just,
dog out on the trail concerns me because your dog was going to tear into
Was
one
your
of
dog on the leash?
It
Can
was,
I-
it's not, yours wasn't.
Was
Yours
your dog
was
on the leash? My
loose.
dog came back when I
Yours
called.
was
My
loose.
dog is the friendliest lab you've ever seen, and I think you're
Oh my
over.
gosh.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, but I muted everybody. I do think that it's getting into personal issues. I do understand that a concern was raised about the use of firearms on the trail. Definitely that is something that can be submitted to the board to discuss, review, and see if they want to act on that. That would be the appropriate action regarding that. Any issues between neighbors, that kind of thing. I don't think this is the appropriate place for that. I understand the emotions behind it and hearing a lot of valid things. However, I do think everyone needs to just take a deep breath, and probably we need to move on with the meeting at this time if everyone's okay with that. Suzanne, can you unmute yourself, or do I need, I'm not sure if I stole control for everybody.
Oh, I've unmuted.
Okay, good.
Okay, so I think I spoke to a little bit to the duties of the board members, and Melinda, also added some valid points about, wanting to get some new members to volunteer to be on the board. Again, it is a volunteer position. We are open for nomination of 5 board members this evening. And I think, Wayne, you got as far as nominating Peter.
I did, but I'm not sure he may change his mind by now.
Well, I
Hey,
hope
Suzanne,
not.
Suzanne, I'm sorry, just for clarification, what type of board members are you looking for? Are you looking for officer positions? Are you looking for board members at large? What are you looking for?
Well, the purpose of this evening is to just elect board members, period. There's not, once the board is elected and they begin their serving their term in January, but between now, the nominations and January, the board will convene and determine who will serve in what positions on the board. Okay.
When has it ever been done that way?
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that the appropriate method of
It is not.
well, Paul, I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm just asking the question. I
Every
think-
meeting
I
I've
think-
ever attended,
I
there's
I
been
can
a
actually
nomination
speak
for
on
a
that.
specific position.
Hey, Paul,
I
let's
can
let
actually
Michelle, she
speak
can
on
actually
that to
speak to
help.
that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That is the appropriate way to elect a board. I've been doing this for over 18 years. That is how we've been guided by attorneys who deal with HOAs to handle board elections. The homeowners vote for board members. Once the board members are elected, the board itself gets together and decides on, as a group, decides on the actual positions. That's the normal way to handle it, and that's how I advise the current board, as that is the appropriate way that we've always been told to handle.
Outstanding. Thank you. I appreciate that. And
Thank
another
you,
good
Brett.
reason to have a professional service on board managing our affairs. So thank you.
Okay, all right. So Wayne, you have nominated Peter O. So we have one nomination thus far. I have spoken in advance to Abby Gordon. She is a new and younger member of our community who's got 3 young kids, and I'm super excited that she has agreed to serve for the coming year. So I nominate Abby Gordon. Do we have a second?
I'll second that. Thank you, Abby.
Okay, so Michelle, and I don't remember if we got a second for Peter's nomination. Did somebody second Peter's nomination?
And I would second Peter's nomination.
Okay, Paul, Scott.
I'm in question why we need a board at all if it can be handled by a management company. Can we dissolve the board?
I can
No.
tell you no. As your management company, even if you were to go with a full management package, the management company works at the direction of the board. It is never the management company's position to make decisions for your community. It is the board's job. That's why you elect them.
Yeah, I think what Daniel is referring to is Article 9 in the covenants, which allows a 2/3 vote of the membership to dissolve the HOA. I think that's what he's referring to.
Okay. I don't think in our case that a board can be dissolved because of the common areas. Because we have, 2 lakes, we've got the pavilion area, common area that needs to be maintained. So I don't think that that's an option, but we can look into that as a board.
We do have a surplus in the treasury.
Yes,
When you say that on the budget, there's a surplus in the treasury.
yes.
Can I speak to that?
Could that be taken care of without?
Can I speak
I'm
to
sorry.
that? That money was actually when I was president. I earmarked our extra funds because of the cul-de-sac up here that is not under state maintenance. The expense to fill in any cracks or have to repave that would have been what this fund was set for. So that's why there's so much in that. And every year we've always had a surplus. So it's always just gone in there, I'm guessing, because my term was up in 2013. So I don't know what's happened since then. But that's what that fund started for, was for the cul-de-sac up there where the walkers live, to maintain that. But now that there is a 4th house there, we should be applying for state maintenance so that they will plow it and repair it. And that fund, I'm not sure legally, now that we don't need it for that specific reason, I'm not sure how that's supposed to be handled, because I was understanding that when you put a fund like that from the homeowner's money and you earmark it for a certain project, that's what it has to be used for. It can't be like divvied out and used for other things. So Michelle, if you, as our management company, can you speak to the legality on using that fund, changing it now that it's not under state maintenance as far as I know, but it should be now that we have that 4th residence there. There's, since that new house was built. So what do we do with that funding now? Because I think legally there has to be, somehow it has to be transferred into under another category. And I'm not even sure how that goes now that that project is no longer, should no longer be our responsibility. But until it is under state maintenance, it is our responsibility. So if it gets potholes or whatever, until they approve that, we got to take care of that. And that's what that fund was started for. I don't know what happened after I was out of office.
So what you're speaking to regarding the street maintenance, would be reserve funds, capital reserve funds. And that's what I've called as your savings account, that we have started a separate account to hold funds separate that are earmarked for those types of items, such as the street maintenance. But that's not the only one. There would be excessive pond maintenance if for some reason a pond had to be dredged is a thing. If there's I don't know the makeup of your pond, so please forgive me, but if there were standpipes or anything like that, repairs necessary. For extensive trail maintenance, if you wanted to remulch the trails, or those are the types of things that would be determined as capital funds. And the rule we go by, and independent auditors have always told us to use, is when funds are put into that capital account, once they're earmarked for capital items, the board can vote on taking those funds out into operating, but it needs to be put in minutes and it needs to be on record. We always recommend that any dollars that are earmarked for capital items remain in the capital account and are only used for that and not used for regular operating costs. So there's no legality in what do we do with these funds now. They can be used for other capital items, but it is important that any funds in that account are only used for capital items.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Okay. All right. I think we've, you covered that nicely for us, Michelle. Thank you so much for that.
I'd
All
like
right.
to revisit Article 9 on the covenants.
What was that, Paul?
Article 9, there was some contention on the part of the management company and the board that the HOA cannot be dissolved. It's specifically mentioned in the covenants. Article 9 covers the dissolution of the HOA. It can be dissolved.
Correct. Your covenants will provide for how to dissolve your association. The issue we have found over the years in communities that want to dissolve, it doesn't work out if there are common areas that need to be maintained, because who is now responsible to maintain them? Currently, according to your covenants and the fact that your covenants are attached to each of the deeds in that community, you each are responsible for a share of maintaining those common areas. If you dissolve the association, then nobody is legally then responsible to maintain those common areas. And now you run into issues with county, city, town, whoever is handling things, because nobody's responsible to maintain them. So who's going to do it? So I don't know if you could actually dissolve because of that reason. That would be up to the governing body for the county or the state.
Right. Yeah, I'm not contending there wouldn't be issues with it, but I wanted to correct the record. There is a method for dissolving the HOA if 2/3 of the membership so desire. That is on that's an option, and it always has been.
Yeah.
Can we get back to the nominations?
Yes. Okay. All right. I would like to make a nomination. I would like to nominate Wayne Miller. He served on the board for at least the last 2 years. I'm not sure how many, and he's been a valuable asset to the board with his knowledge on a whole bunch of matters. And if he doesn't know about it, he can certainly look it up with a lot of ease. So I nominate Wayne to remain on the board.
I second that.
Okay, that's Michelle. Second. Okay.
Paul, would you accept a nomination? Are you interested in being on the board?
If only to be the sole voice of dissent on the board, sure, I'll sit on it again.
I'll nominate Paul.
Nobody has to oppose it.
I'll nominate Paul.
I'll second that nomination.
Okay.
This was the mistake I made by leaving in the first place, I suspect. But it is what it is.
And
All
I'll
right.
second the motion on Wayne Miller.
Okay,
Already been second.
Sorry, I jumped ahead of that.
Oh, sorry about that.
all right. Did we have a second on Paul's nomination?
Yeah, I think Daniel seconded it, I heard.
I thought he seconded Wayne's nomination.
did
No, I
both.
did Paul. I didn't know if Wayne was secondary. I'll do Wayne and Paul. I
Yeah,
agree
he'll do
with both of
both.
those.
Okay,
Daniel gets a twofer.
all right.
So-
Do we have?
So
do we have a-
Suzanne, I'm going to go out on a limb and ask if you're interested. And if so, I would like to nominate you to serve another term on the board.
All right, I'd be happy to. Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I second it.
Okay, I'm sorry, who was seconding it?
Jim,
Jim, okay. All right, and do we have any other volunteers that might want to serve on the board this year? Because that makes 4 and we have, or actually 5. Do we have any more volunteers?
Daniel, I think you would be great on the board as well if you would accept one.
I would be horrible on the board.
I think you would do a great job. I know there are a lot of people in
No.
this team that would do great jobs, and you were one of them. There's several.
No, I would do horrible on the job. I got too many other obligations.
Okay,
But
well.
thank you.
All right, all right.
I still think you'd do great.
Melinda
are
or
you
Scott?
interested in going back?
Okay, I'm sorry, Jim.
Melinda, are you interested in going back?
Yes, I would be willing to help serve another year.
I so
Okay.
nominate you.
Okay. Jim nominates Melinda, and I'll second that. All right, so we have a total of 6. Michelle, are there any more nominations out there? All right.
How
Well,
many?
So I have a question. Do we need,
No, we can still nominate if there's any more
okay, I'm
nominations.
sorry, go ahead. I don't have a question, go ahead.
How many
Are there-
people do we need to be, because
Um,
the fuller the
we-
board is, the better, honestly.
Well, I think we have, we've decided on a board of 5. There's anywhere from 5 to 7 allowed. However, in our community, just with the, for many reasons, lack of participation in the past and the size of our board, we, voted to have a board of 5 this time. And it sounds like we have 6 nominations. Is that something, Michelle, that you can help us figure out how to handle?
Yeah, the best way to handle, we would have to have an election then. And not really easy to do via Zoom. So the best way to handle it would be to send out ballots, and we can help you send out ballots for the election and get 5 of those 6 people nominated elected.
Hey, Suzanne, can you hear me? This is Abby.
Yes, Abby?
Hey, so I was just going to say, I'm happy to help however you guys need. I know you and I had talked about just maybe thinking through some like family centered things that we could do with for the families that have young kids and everything. But I certainly don't feel like I need to be on the board to do that. So if it would make it easier, you know that you can just reach out to me anytime, and then I will just I absolutely don't need to be on the board. So
Well,
if it would.
I think we would love to have you on the board.
We sure
We're gonna
would, Abby.
decide who has what roles on the board. So, I would love to keep you on the board, even if it's, just at an at-large position, because I'd love to have your input on that kind of stuff. So
Well,
want-
whatever's easiest and makes the most sense. But having to, be involved in voting and that kind of stuff I don't necessarily have to, that's not the most important thing to me. So if I could help however you guys need, whatever makes sense. I don't want to complicate
Okay.
it, but
Well,
just let me know.
I think, I think we should just go forward. We've got 6 people, 6 opportunities. We'll go ahead and conduct the election, as we are supposed to. I move to keep all 6 nominations and go for an election. Does anyone second that motion?
I'll second it.
Second, okay. All right, so we have, we will get with Michelle in the coming days. The current board will get with Michelle and determine how to do the balloting and elections coming for, and we probably should set some sort of due date. I think the terms begin in January 1st, if I recall. So we'll maybe set send out ballots, and I think you'll have the appropriate information in there, Michelle, on how to cast your ballot and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Put any information, and we can talk, and I can put something preliminary together for the board to review, and then we can get it sent out and give enough time to get nominations back. If the terms aren't beginning until January 1st, the homeowners have some time to get their ballots back in. So it should work out pretty easily.
Okay, well, good.
I have another question, if I may. Michelle, are you still with us?
Go ahead, Paul.
Yep. Yep.
Article 3 of the bylaws, section 2 specifies the election of officers for the HOA, and that's the procedure I've always been familiar with. Michelle, are you familiar with that section?
Not specifically, I don't have it in front of me, but if you tell me what you're
Well,
concerned
I'm
about, I'm happy to
not going
help.
to pin you down to look at it now. Can you take a gander at it and tell me how this process that we're proposing comports with that, what's stipulated in the bylaws? Get back to me by email. I don't need an answer now.
I mean, I can tell you that this process is not a usual process. This is a process that has come about during COVID, and I can forward you all kinds of attorney opinion and CAI information about how to conduct annual meetings via Zoom and how to continue with the business of the association in the midst of a pandemic. And the way we have been advised to handle these issues, if it's a small meeting and everyone is okay doing a vote, and we're not dealing with proxies and all of that, then we have been able to do a vote on Zoom. However, in a meeting this size, it is more appropriate when dealing with proxies and large number of people to do a mail ballot. That way it's still a written, as usual, is still a written vote. It's still an unnamed vote, I guess, a secret ballot. And that is, attorneys have advised us that is the most appropriate way to move forward.
Okay. All right. Paul, did she address your question?
Yeah, as close as we're going to get, I reckon. A lot of things are being done in the name of COVID, and it's just the time we live in. So let's move on. I've got other things to do.
Yeah,
All
let's
right.
move on.
All right. I think that covers the business of this evening. Does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I so move.
Okay, Jim
A
Tatum.
second.
Okay, Melinda, we got a second. So I think that concludes our meeting. Again, I thank you all for coming out. I'm very excited. I know this was different doing it on Zoom this year. But I think, the upside of it, I know we don't get to be face to face with everybody, but the upside is that we got a lot more community involvement this year, and I appreciate that. And we will be in touch with you soon. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.